The Preston Art Center, serving the Kentuckiana area since 1941.
This is Joel Pinkerton, artist at Zephyr Gallery, and you have a show that's coming up.
That's correct. The show opens March 29th, so all are invited.
Well, thank you for talking to us. We're going to talk about the stuff that's going to be in the show. We see two pieces here that are from the show. Why don't you start, tell us a little bit about these pieces, this work that's going to be in the show that we're looking at.
Okay. The show, there's a title to the show titled More or Less, 3D drawings. So these are kind of what I'm calling a 3D drawing. They're welded steel, very kind of a small steel rod that is manipulated by me and simple tools, welded together in this figure. That the figures, there'll be something like 20 some figures like what you see here, all in various poses in the gallery, and they're all this material that they're covered with is something called masking film that I found on the curb, and most of my work involves found materials, so that's the found element here. This drawing, if you will, kind of looks, it goes between medical charts of muscular structure and vascular pathways and skeletal things to this, human figure that is bound with this plastic film type material that's been heat fused to itself to kind of encase it.
Well, it's you are, as you say, you're kind of known for working with found objects. You're famous for some sculptures, a lot of figurative work, but it was done from found metal objects, pots and pans and tools and different kinds of things.
Right. I think the thing about the found materials, it's always that line that it gives me, the volume that it may have. So this is maybe quite a bit different from what people are used to seeing, but this material, the steel that I used, I've done similar figures. I've done, they're kind of like drawings or stylized images with just a few lines and done in either kind of a relief fashion. And the material kind of came from the curb as well. The small rod is very similar to what you see, yard signs, political yard signs that you can collect in the alleyways every May and November, I guess.
Well, looking at this, it seems like there's something more elemental or basic about these forms. Like you refer to them as drawings. It's like almost like going back to gestural drawings and life drawing.
Right. The that more or less is, it's a sketch. When you're working on a sketch, is it ever really finished? Do you totally erase the lines you don't like? So this is kind of in a sculptural way that same process. They were all inspired by an artist drawing mannequin, the little flexible, positionable mannequin as a let's bring that into today's context, give it emotion, which is what I've always, I think, been known for with my other work, is you bring out this gestures and, they're very believable characters. So that's kind of, I think, rooted in all my work, and people that know my work will see these, and I guess once they see that, oh, that's Joel, I'm starting to see what he's up to and the things he's done in the past, how it's come to this.
What's inspired you to move in this direction with this work?
Well, I'm always changing. I've used this material before, as I said, and I've done kind of architectural elements with it. The steel's small enough where you don't need heavy equipment, And if I build things in pieces or segments, then I can, work within the small space that I have, and usually put it together on site and create something from that point. I always, this may go back to looking at classical type of art school things where, here's all those classical figures from the 20th century or previous. And, the other pieces I do, they kind of stretch the boundaries of your imagination. Inanimate objects kind of come to life, and people recognize these objects, but now they're kind of stupefied seeing it. I've got one of those, and you've got it, walking and talking. So, I'm always trying to just put life into the pieces, and, I think I've been doing that for a long time, and finally got the opportunity.
How would you describe yourself as an artist then? I mean, some of the things you're kind of talking about, the lack of a formal education, the instinctual approach, you see that in descriptions of folk artists or the people that are called primitive artists, or I mean, how do you see yourself fitting into that that larger landscape of the art world?
Right. Well, there's this kind of 21st century folk artist. They're just of a different generation, using what the last two generations has left, or the things that haven't decayed or been lost or recycled or buried. So that's kind of one. I mean, I work intuitively. Rarely have any set thing I'm looking for. I've got a general idea what I'm trying to, the pose or what have you. In the case of these, one kind of bred another, which all my figurative work tends to do. They look related, but uniquely different. So all these poses, people in the gallery may, they may challenge some of the poses I have, because I may be doing some things that are humanly impossible, with wrists turned certain ways, or back arched or what have you. So hopefully some people will say, well, is that piece there? That's, and try to get an idea of what they're doing, what are these reacting to, and the ideas, I think, are not one central thing. Everybody sees a little something different, and people are kind of afraid of art sometimes, like, well, what's that really mean? And it means what you see. These emotions that I've tried to bring out of this figure with his arms outstretched, kind of submitting or surrendering to something larger or greater. His head's looking up. The other one with this kind of like the scream, holding his hands over his ears or to the side of his face and looking up. And is that reacting to something loud, or just what it is?
Do you feel like viewers tend to try to overthink art a lot of times?
Well, I hope they do, because too many viewers don't spend enough time with it. Unlike the music industry, where a song that an artist wrote is playing and it's stuck in your head, it's being played, you're being peppered with it on occasion, or if you download it or own it. Where visual art is, you have to really put yourself in front of it. It's not just streaming in your background. So I always kind of hope that people will spend time, don't rush in.
What do you think you'll be getting into next?
Well, this time of year begins the fine art shows that I do. I'll do a few in the spring, and one or so in the summer, and then several in the fall. So the things I'll be doing once all this is kind of up and running, will be collecting my materials. So that might be the alleyways during the annual junk pickups and trash weeks, those type of things. The flea markets and yard sales and second-hand stores. So I'll be gathering materials. I always have materials, but you can never have enough. So
Do you sometimes get inspired by the materials you find? I mean, does the material and process lead you in what kind of work you would do sometimes?
Yeah, I think so. The the physical nature of it, being whether it's metal or wood, I usually kind of work with like materials, but I use all sorts of material. So metal, that's certainly something I've used in the past, or I've had one of those and I made something with it, and so generally I don't give it a lot of thought. I'll just grab it, and I know I can do something with that. Then there's the times when you're looking, you've got a piece that's in some sort of midway that I need something to flesh out this piece. It needs a head or a body or whatever it might be I'm looking for. So a lot of times if I've gone through all of my materials and struck out, by looking at all those things, I kind of know what I'm looking for, but I don't know, I hadn't seen it or don't quite know what it is, but I know a general shape, general size that you would finish it out. Occasionally I'll have a commission piece where a client says, yeah, we want one that's got this feature and that feature. Some of those I encourage them to go through their own materials, so they provide a lot of heirlooms, actually, things that were maybe not valuable, but that was grandmother's old teapot or whatever it might have been. So incorporating those into pieces that they kind of carry on, it's put up on the mantle or displayed in some way, and they have this story behind it that, well, that was your great grandmother's on your mother's side, and that was your uncle on your father's side, and so all these kind of bit of a family history, and you end up with this kind of quirky character that I've got a number of collectors who have more than one, several. I've got a lady that has a china cabinet full of small ones that they have to be only so tall, but they're fun. They're kind of enlivening, I think. I've had people who own a piece tell me, I bought a piece from you last year, and I just want to tell you, I love it just like the day, I got it. And it gives me so much happiness and joy, and it's like, my God, I should be getting a bonus here. But the lady actually says, well, the money I spent on that was way better. I got a way better result than the same amount of money with my therapist. So I thank you, and she gave me a big hug, and so that obviously makes anybody feel good that your work is energized and energizing others. So getting these figures to kind of come to life, emit that energy that touches people. I think that's what every artist is in some ways looking for.